Let's see if this turns on our sound for us. How about now? Sarah Jade in the house. You guys still no sound? No sound still? Is it very fuzzy? I just got a new computer, so don't panic. I'm working on the sound. Too loud? Is it too loud? Very distorted. Okay, we got some work to do. Whoa. It's too high. How about this? Maybe if we put it halfway. How about now? Audio giving me like I said, I got a new computer, so I got different settings. So let me know if the setting, is it better? Okay, like better, 10 out of 10 better, or a little bit better, or we still need to tweak it? It's too low now. Should I turn it up? Turn it down? Is it where it needs to be? Should I bring the mic closer? I'm Deaf Fan in the house. Uncle Dan in the house. 10 out of 10. Okay, perfect. Okay, so M Deaf Fan, you're going to have to call me and tell me why Trump's behavior is not a concern to you on Twitter. I don't know if Leah's in the house. She should be here as well. And you guys can help me out. Hey, look, it's Vin. Hey, look, it's Kellendross. It's been too long since a fireside. Hey, Vin. Hey, Jen G in the house. Yes, it has been too long since a fireside. And so I'm glad to be back. Extremely busy. Complicated family stuff and other stuff. But hey, we're here. Do more of the Doors songs. Whoever you are, Kla Tioshi, I was literally thinking about the Doors yesterday. So give me the title of a Doors song, because we will probably end up doing the Doors pretty soon here. Bonjour, Dispater. Yeah. Yeah, Leah, the resident Trump supporter. So Leah's definitely gonna call, inshallah. This is going to be interesting. I'm fine with less frequent firesides. Means I have to put up with you guys less. So I will start in about, what's up, Zork? Kellendross? I did not listen to that Pain of Salvation song again yet. Vin, what is the political, social issue you care about the most? Immigration, racism, guns, drugs, abortion, climate change, corruption, etc. Somebody take one guess at which issue is the most important to not only myself, but Sorry. Uncle Dan, Ben is already taken by Lilu. Yeah, by far, abortion's the biggest issue to us, by far. No close second. Abortion for sure, then healthcare. Yeah, I'm extremely concerned with the right-wing attitude toward healthcare. Gun control is actually very high up for me. The only issue that I have is, if I could find a leftist that could come up with a good gun control solution that would actually work and make it so we wouldn't have to endure hearing of our people being killed every other month, I would love to hear it. So gun control is very huge for me too. Becky Levitt in the house. What's up, Becky Levitt? Yan, the big homie Yan. Yes, Benson. For sure. So, once we hit 50 watchers, I'm going to do my little 2-minute soliloquy about my the last couple of videos that I've shot for Middle America. Although, you know, we can talk about anything. I'm just going to talk about that, and then we can, hey, Carmen in the Village. DNC is KKK. I cannot wait to talk to you. I am extremely excited to talk to you. DNC is KKK. No, I do not believe in reincarnation, virtual insanity. You're welcome, Rachel. That was actually a really good song. Vin, I blame the Packers sucking this season on you saying they were going to suck. Well, when you have one quarterback that's sucking up all the money and won't do the Tom Brady hometown discount thing, that's what happens. Hey, Zonia. Thanks, Ian. Well, I mean, Ian, you kind of went in there. You did your thing. You didn't have any takers. Nobody wanted to deal with you, and you bounced. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to go. I'm not mad at you for that, my guy. Flesh of Danny in the house. This is Kim O'Mackey bringing you mounds of sounds and stacks of wax on the center aisle of your radio dial. That sounded pretty cool, huh? Where has Sori gone? Sori is with the kids. She'll be in pretty soon, inshallah. The good news, guys, is we reached 4,000 watch hours on the Middle America channel, so now it's up for review. So we should be right back where we were before. We've also got the NAM show. That's confirmed, and I think we're about 90% confirmed on the Cradle of Filth show. That's coming out in April. So there you are. Zonia, I can hear you. I can hear you. Vin, serious question about the Bible for you. Satan is a trickster. How do you know that all the branches and even the writings of the Bible aren't an elaborate trick? Because of the singularity of the Christian message in opposition to literally every other religious message in the world. So, there you are. Yes, I was telling the truth about going to my first ever mass. I got to meet the bishop. That's pretty cool. It's very, very, very cool, man. I can't wait to hear about it. When we do that Patreon fireside thing, that's going to be good. Okay, I think we're at 51. Hey, Osiris. Good to talk to you, bruv. Where you been? Where you been? Okay, so I'm clearing the phone. The phone lines are going to be open. So if you want to call in after my little 5-minute soliloquy, what's up, Nick? Yeah, you can call in and talk to me. Right now, what I want to talk to is right-leaning folks in our community. So yesterday I shot a video about Trump and how he handled Cohen, and I think it's Rosen? Who's the other guy? Anyway, so Mr. Cohen has flipped, and he has confessed to being involved in dealings with Russia after the January date, which he testified to in Congress, and he said that was pushed out all the way till June. And among other things, he was saying things under oath that would lead one to believe that the Russian collusion conspiracy has some feet under it. Now, my perspective on it on the macro level is that I think Zonia pointed out in one of her comments, and this is something that I've pointed out many times, is that every developed country interferes in some way, shape, or form with another developed country's political process. We do it all the time. Hell, we kill people. You've got Hillary Clinton on record saying she killed Gaddafi over there in Libya with the help of Al Qaeda in Libya. I mean, that's literally the name of the group. So it's extremely hypocritical of Americans to even poo-poo the idea that somebody would interfere in our electoral process. Ultimately, I think it's ridiculous because I don't believe that the Russians swayed the vote with their Twitter and Facebook bots. I believe what swayed the vote was the horribleness and the lack of awareness of the American people that even Barack Obama talked about in his postmortem on Trump, where he said, I obviously was out of touch with the people because I said it was impossible for Trump to win, and he won. Hillary not going to Rust Belt states on her final little swing by. All those things are what contributed to why the Democratic Party lost the nomination, not the Russians. So that's the macro level. On the micro level, however, I am very, very concerned when our president goes to Twitter and uses the bully pulpit of the media to basically say that Cohen is a rat and that he should get his max sentence because he dared to flip on him. He also called him weak and all the rest of it. And my only point in the video yesterday was, well, on what basis are we saying that he has the motivation to lie and to make up stories? Unless, of course, there was something indictable in Mueller's investigation. Mueller is not investigating, his numbers or his books as a lawyer or whatever. What they're investigating specifically is about foreign entities in regard to 2016. To my knowledge. So I don't understand what motivation he would have to lie about and make up these stories that they were in fact talking to the Russians. As I said in the video, Trump, in one of his debates with Hillary, looked into the camera and told the Russians to keep him coming. So it doesn't bend credulity to me to think that, of course, he probably did something with the Russians that the Russians offered to help him. But my point is, this is not the behavior that I want from my president. Like, I don't want my president taking to Twitter and going out in front of the White House lawn and calling people weak and lowering himself to that degree, which then lowers the office to that degree. I've always said this. As a Christian, you're supposed to honor the leadership. And so when Barack Obama was in office, he did some things that I completely disagreed with. But in my opinion, the way he comported himself in front of the camera with his use of Twitter matched the dignity of the office of the United States. And Trump doesn't. It just seems to me, especially in this case, he's coming off very gangsterish, like a gangster. And the rules he seems to be operating with, Cohen's a snitch and he's weak, and the other guy is not giving anything, and so he has guts. That just seems to me to be street law gangsterism. And so because of that, I think it's a bad look for Trump. I don't think anything is going to come of the Mueller investigation, anything material. And I think that it's just, I wish Trump would elevate the office of the presidency instead of dragging it through the mud in the way that he talks. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it, or maybe I'm going to change my mind. And now I'm going to let you guys call me up. BM fans in the house, my brother. Yes. Oh, speaking of which, RIP 41. 41 was actually the first president that I was ever aware of when I came to this country. I was a baby. Well, I don't know how old I was. But I do remember 41. So rest in peace to the big homie. All right. Or at least the one that I was cognizant of. Anyway, Matthew Winters in the house. Okay. So, all right. I've got a caller. Who's this?
It's Mark.
Mark who?
Mark Hatton.
Mark Hatton. Have we ever spoken before, Mark?
Sorry?
Have we ever spoken before?
No, we haven't.
Okay, good.
Well, not over the phone anyway.
Okay, so Mark, talk to me. What did you think about my little soliloquy?
Well, to be honest, I'm not really keeping up with what's going on over that side of the pond at the moment, but I don't know whether you've seen, it's been a pretty historic day over here today. government basically was found in contempt of Parliament with the Brexit what they were, the Attorney General basically gave legal advice to the government, and the government decided to try and quash it and keep it stum. But the opposition basically said, this is not, the public needs to know, because this is, we're 3 months away from Brexit now, and nothing's happening. So, the people need to know what's going to happen. And so, there was a vote, and the government, for the first time in our history, has been found in contempt of Parliament, which is pretty massive. And they've had 3 defeats in one day, which is unprecedented. It's not happened for the last 40 years. The government's already unstable as hell. So, basically, you're not the only ones that are in a load of crap.
Whoa, okay. So who found the government? So when you say the government, you're talking about the current administration, basically?
Yeah. So our system's very different to yours. So our government at the moment is made up of, it's a minority government, because basically over here we have 650 MPs, and you need to have a majority. So you need 325 or more to control the House. Now, at our last election, which was last year, no party got 325 MPs. I think the Conservatives got about 319 or something like that, and they basically formed what's called a minority government, which propped up by the DUP, which is the Northern, basically. Have you heard of there was a lot of the troubles going on in Ireland with the IRA and then the Unionists and whatever. So basically, in Northern Ireland, you have 2 main parties. Sinn Féin, who were the Republicans who wanted to join the Republic, they don't take their seats in Parliament, because to take your seat in Parliament, you have to basically swear allegiance to the Queen, and they don't want to do that because they're Republicans. So the DUP is the other side of that. They're the hardline unionists. So they have been supplying, basically on a case-by-case basis, helping the Conservatives keep a government. But that's been falling apart. They voted against them today. Like that, your question is, who found the government? Basically, the motion was brought forward by the opposition, and then the members of Parliament voted on whether the government was in contempt of government, and they won by 15 votes or something like that, which is,
So what does that mean? What does it mean? Is it just a moral type of victory, as a slap on the wrist, or?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I guess for today it's a moral victory, but if this keeps happening, then well, basically what it means is that the government have to release what was given to them by their Attorney General, the legal advice concerning Brexit. So they have to release that information to the public. It weakens their position on like I've said, the case-by-case basis, because the DUP, who are basically keeping the Conservatives in power, voted against them twice today. One time they didn't, but some of their own party voted against them. Like I said, they had 3 defeats today, which hasn't happened to a government in 40 years. It's all falling apart, basically, the whole thing.
Whoa. So
even in France, it's got mental as well.
Yeah. So you guys are in trouble. We're in trouble.
The French are in trouble. Everyone's in trouble, basically. So don't feel too bad about your situation, because we're all in the shit as well.
Yeah, we could all commiserate, because our president is being investigated at the highest levels of government.
What has happened is sort of, it's not. I don't pretend to be an expert on your electoral system, your politics, but obviously there's the impeachment thing that keeps popping up, whether that will happen or not. It's kind of a guess like that, but our system's very different, and yeah, so
Wow.
But the contempt thing is a lot of people. So people can be found individually in contempt of Parliament if they've misled the House, or they've either withheld information or given false information, and basically that's happened to the entire government. So it's quite hard to see what's going to happen from now, because the problem over here, we have a thing that came in less than 10 years ago, called the Fixed Term Parliaments Act, where basically to have a general election, because we had an early general election last year, because we have ours every 5 years, so 2010, 2015, and then we had one in 2017, because it was called because of the Brexit thing, but 2/3 of Parliament have to vote in favour of it. So it's very difficult to see how another general election is going to happen, even though we only have a minority government.
Unbelievable.
It's all very strange. This happened a lot in the 70s with Labour governments, where people would, there was just basically an election every couple of years because they kept having minority governments and they kept falling apart. But now with the Fixed Term Parliaments Act, it's not as simple as that.
Wow. So you guys are screwed, just like us.
100%. Well, I say that there is we have a beacon of hope. I mean, Brexit. I voted Remain. I don't know whether you guys over there know a lot about Brexit, apart from what Donald Trump's told you, probably.
No, it's basically a European populism. Basically, I mean, is that basically the idea?
No, kind of. But it's weird leaving. Do you know the European Union?
Yeah.
It was basically a block of 27 countries that were bound by laws and trade deals and all this sort of stuff. I mean, we have our own. It has its own independent European Parliament where members from each country get voted to a European Parliament, sit there, make laws and whatnot. Basically, we voted to leave that, although no nation has ever left it before since it was created, and so pretty much all our trade goes to Europe, and at the moment we haven't got a trade deal with them, and we're out in 3 months.
Wasn't it to compete with the US? Wasn't that the idea of the EU?
No. It might have been, actually. The way it worked out, it probably was, to be fair, because the US is an economic powerhouse. But basically, I think the only good thing that can come of this for me is it all collapses, it all goes to shit, and the UK can finally elect a proper socialist Labour government, because our current opposition is quite, hardline socialist, and we did so much better than I'm a member of the Labour Party here in England, and we did so much better last year than anyone thought. We were 20 points behind in the polls at one point, and that's why they called a general election, because basically our Prime Minister Theresa May saw that they were 20 points ahead in the polls and was like, right, we can absolutely destroy Labour now. We can have a massive majority and we don't ever have to worry about them again. So, and they had a majority. It was a small majority of I think they had 330 or 331. So it was a very small majority of 5 or 6, but they had a majority. They called an election to try and get more seats. Like I said, they were 20 points ahead in the polls, and then we campaigned our arses off, and we only lost by 2 percentage points in the end. We gained seats, they lost seats, so that's how the minority government came to be. So, yeah, fingers crossed. We're making progress, but I voted to remain, and I wanted to remain because EU's pretty, these. Basically, do you ever see what happened to Greece with the EU?
Yeah.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
They got absolutely shafted. They were so hard in debt, and they voted to default on their debts, and then they couldn't because the EU wouldn't let them.
Good Lord.
Greece were they elected a socialist government. They elected the first democratically elected socialist government post-war on the European continent, and they were made an example of. And now we're going to be leaving the EU. We're being made an example of, because the EU can't be seen to have a country leave and then do well,
right?
Because that means more countries will want to leave. So
right.
They're going to shaft us as hard as they can, basically.
Right. Yeah.
But
isn't that a form of fascism to some degree? I mean, aren't you placating a fascistic idea?
Well, that was the thing. My whole thing was remain and reform. I mean, as we try to, the way it's worked, it's so entrenched in the European economic area as it is now that it's going to be so difficult to survive outside of that. The best chance that we had was staying in it and trying to change it. But now, even with the latest deal that we've been given on Brexit, we'd still keep a lot of the same sort of perks of being in the EU, but then we'd not have any say on it because we wouldn't have any members of the European Parliament, and we wouldn't have any power over it.
Well, yeah, it seems to me that the EU has now become so powerful that you can't leave it.
Well, yeah, and also that's another thing that happened today. Basically, the ECJ, the European Court of Justice, got together and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, UK, you can, if you decide you don't want to leave, that's fine. We can sort that out straight away. You don't even have to put it through Parliament. We'll just sort it like that."
I see. So I've got Ian of the Village here, and he's saying, as a fellow Englishman, he fully agrees with you.
Oh, really?
Ian Aspie of the Village. He's in the chat. He's been whooping and hollering every 5 minutes when you talk. I got some Trump callers on the way, man. I appreciate the.
Yeah. So I just thought, I've wanted to call in for a while, and I thought, yeah, what the hey? And I know that you're trying to, you're talking about your side of the stuff. I just thought I'd pitch in with what's going on elsewhere in the world.
You know what's funny? I saw something flash across my screen about the Parliament thing in Australia, and I was about to shoot a video on it.
Australia's mad as well. Like, they have an election every year, basically.
Good Lord. I was actually about to shoot a video on it, and then I said, nah, I don't know enough about that one. So I'm actually really glad that you called up about it.
Cool, man.
Maybe you could, maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll have some foreign correspondence at some point. We can.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We can go global.
If you have a dedicated, village on, world politics, I'd be happy to take part and pitch because like I said, I'm a member of the Labour Party over here. Quite an avid, I like to think of myself as a bit of a politician. I actually stood for the Green Party in my hometown.
Yeah.
Before I joined Labour.
No, seriously, keep me updated on the climate over there. Maybe we can have you as a foreign correspondent. Who knows?
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like, everyone's saying now that, oh yeah, we'll trade with America because Trump's going to give us a good deal, and I'm like, is he? Is he really going to give us a good deal?
He probably would, just to give the finger to the EU. Who knows? All right, man. I appreciate you.
Cool.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Oh, Bernie in as well, by the way. I see Bernie 2020. I'm all for Bernie.
Yeah, so am I.
Cool. Good man.
Cool. All right, so we saw how things were going across the pond. I need some of the Trump fans in the house to call me up and tell me why I'm wrong about being concerned about Trump and his latest antics in regard to Mr. Cohen. The EU started out as a trade bloc between some of the most warmongering countries in Europe, which was fine, and it has worked pretty well, but now they want to federalize. Yeah, it sounds like that, Yan. I don't know enough about it, but that's what it was sounding like. Sonia, we did not get to go out tomorrow, but we will do it first thing tomorrow, I promise. It's cold here, so if it's time sensitive, I think it'll be okay. England asked to be part of the U.S. That would be great. England should ask to be part of the United States. That would be so great.
I just wanted to say hi. Hi.
I need some Trump fans. The call-in number is Skype. Vin and Sorry. Skype, Vin and Sorry. That was a high buy from Sorry. De Herrera, M. Death Fan, one of y'all got to call me up and tell me that this is justifiable attitude, actions from our president. I need to know. The people need to know. Isn't it possible to like Trump but not everything he does? I agree. 275. When Trump does something great, I say so. And when he doesn't, I don't. Okay. Who am I speaking to?
This is, well, my name is Matt, but I'm the guy with the really long D in the chat.
Okay. Talk to me, Matt. What's your political perspective on Mr. Trump?
Well, I'll give you an identifier here. I'm a right-leaning but libertarian on social issues type of voter. So
okay.
That kind of stuck me on the Trump side in this last glorious, if you hear I'm saying that, election that we had here.
Did you vote for Trump?
I voted for Trump, but it was like the voting for the lesser of two evils in my point of view.
Well, yeah. Look, man, you don't have to apologize for voting for Trump. We have a democracy. That's what it is. You voted for Trump. It's all good, brother.
So here's what I'll say this much. As far as the Twitter thing, I don't think people understand what Trump does with Twitter, and it's maybe because people don't understand Twitter enough. Like, if you want to see someone explain in detail, there's a guy named Tim Pool who did a good video on this a few days ago. The majority of people who use Twitter are either they're news media people who are like political fanatics, or like people who live only in social media. So when Trump posts something on Twitter, he's not posting that to actually do anything meaningful in terms of policy. He's doing that to set the media in a direction he wants them to go. So when he posts that thing about he should be into jail for the rest of his life or whatever, he's not saying that's anything like his real policy, which it may or may not be. He wants the media focused on Trump thinking that this guy is somehow that Trump wants him to go to jail. You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to manipulate the media is what I'm basically saying there. Now,
well, do you think that that's behavior that our president should be displaying in front of 50 million plus people?
Well, you remember I said I reluctantly voted for Trump, and here's the deal. As a reluctant voter, okay, so I think you can understand this. Every single position I've taken in my life, I've been called a racist, a Nazi,
right.
A hater. So finally, as Republicans, we've been told for 30 years we just have to suck this up and be the nice guy in the room. And it got us nowhere but being called worse and worse. And you've seen how the left is with, I think Tim calls them the intolerant left or something like now. And
sure.
Tim's a leftist type of guy. And so Trump comes along and says, okay, and Trump, for his career, if you look at his past politics, you'll find photos of him with Democrats and not Republicans. He's a moderate Democrat on almost every issue. He's basically our version of Bill Clinton, if you want to think of it that way.
Sure.
And he comes and says, here's what I'm going to do. The Republican side, I want to be president. That's what the first thing went to his head. I want to be president, okay? And Hillary's running for the Democrats, and no one's going to get over Hillary because I know Hillary, and I know. So I have to run as a Republican. So I have to pick some of these positions that, and make myself look like I'm extremely to the right, so he comes out with the wall that's never going to be built or, and whatnot. And says, since they're going to call me this anyway, I might as well go full tilt and just tweet out constantly things that will make them, and because no one on the right even listens when you call us this stuff anymore. Like, if you called me a racist 30 years ago, I would have looked at my behavior and said, okay, maybe I did something stupid. But now if you call me a racist, I'm like, well, it's probably just someone on the left calling me a racist because I want lower taxes.
Right.
You know?
Well, no, I agree. I think I shot this. That was kind of my point in the video about Cindy Hyde-Smith, where I saw that happen because I saw a lot of my left-leaning friends were saying this proves that all Republicans are racist for voting for Cindy Hyde-Smith, and ignoring the fact that Hillary Clinton is racist as hell, and she actually took part in policy that put a whole generation of black folk in prison, and she got a complete pass by all the leftists and the pussy hats for her racism.
Yeah, and also I wanted something when you brought that up, and there was something else that you mentioned that. So to give you also perspective, I'm opposed to the death penalty, though probably not for the same reasons as you are.
Yeah.
And I tend to oppose abortion. Again, I'm not a Christian. I'm actually a nihilist. This is crazy. I'm a nihilist, okay? And I tend to have a lot of Christian positions when you think about, but and when you brought up this Hyde-Smith senator down there,
yeah,
when she made that comment about hanging people, I think you missed what she was really saying. Okay, now if you ever look up anti-death penalty statistics, there's a sizable percentage of people who support the death penalty and would favor public executions. Remember how they used to do them? So she wasn't, when she made her comment about the public hanging, she wasn't being like racially lynching. She was saying she favored public executions, like psychologically. You get what I'm saying there?
Well,
and to me, that's like not just like lynching is a term that applies to this is gonna sound horrible the way I'm saying it, but like illegal hanging people. You know what I mean? Like it's a racial crime.
No, I know where you're going. You don't have to mince. Look, I assume the best of you, so I know that you're not a racist bastard. You're just doing your best. I get it. So don't worry about that. The thing about Hyde-Smith is that she's got a history of being in that region and saying some questionable things. So like for me as a black man to hear that Jefferson Davis was this great guy and he was the president of the Confederacy, to me, like I'm not a fan of that.
I agree on that. I'm not disagreeing there. But I think you missed the more, as bad as racism is, public executions and increasing the use of the death penalty to me is worse.
Well, I hear what you're saying, which is why I didn't base she's probably racial only in that statement, but on how she went to school, where she grew up, where she sent her daughter to school, and what she said about Jefferson Davis. But my point was, and let me see if you agree with this, because you're a libertarian, so you might actually have a different idea. But my point was, look, as it stands now, practically, we're in a two-party system. And so if the person on the Republican, if you have a set of convictions that mostly align with the Republican, even if the Republican is a racist, you're still going to vote for her, regardless, because you're not voting for the person as much as you're voting for the policies.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree that we had, when you say a two-party system, I think you're a little younger than me. I'm 45, and you're like, what, 35 or something like that, give or take?
Yeah, early 30s, yeah.
Yeah, so and maybe it's a little bit of an age thing, or maybe we live through different eras, but people don't. Another 10 or 15 years, you might see this, right? These political parties that we have, every 10 to 15 years, even though they're still called the Republican and Democratic Party, the sort of sub-collection of them changes, if you get what I'm saying. You know? Right. It's like how in Europe you had that guy from England on, how he said in European parliamentary they have to form coalitions. Well, over there they just keep changing. Here, our coalitions are called Republican Democrats, and they change, but they just have the same name.
Right, you know? Right. I mean, like, for example, Bernie wasn't your traditional Democrat, and Trump wasn't a traditional Republican, which is why you had the Never Trump thing going on, because he was anti-establishment, obviously. So my whole thing was going against, trying to, but, it was your point earlier where everything that a white Republican person does has now become racist. And so in that video, I was calling that out and saying that's bullshit. And even if Cindy Hyde-Smith is racist, it doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody that voted for her were. Because if that's the case, all the people that wanted to vote for Hillary in the Women's March, then they're racist too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's this
I mean,
hypocrisy of the left.
I'll give you a broader point on this racism thing. I think everyone over the age of 60 is to some degree racist. Everyone over the age of 40 is which includes me, is a little racist in the sense that we were raised by baby boomers who were pretty racist, you know? And so it's really like your generation, which are like millennials and Gen Y and all that, you guys almost having the first chance to, I don't want to say it this way, but it's the only way I could, to be free of some of this evil crap that our parents have taught us.
Well, yeah, and that's why I said anybody above 60 gets a free pass in my video. I said, you get a free pass. That's it.
I'll give you this is an anecdote you'll probably appreciate. My grandfather, who passed a few years ago. I love the man. I'm named after him. He was a World War II hero and everything. Better, you know. But he, like many of his people of his age, were very racist. And you don't understand, he's Sicilian. Sicilian people hate everyone. There's no... It's hard to explain other than to say, like, you could watch, like he would watch a video with, like, say, black people and white people, well, let's say black people and, white Irish people fighting, for example, in the streets in Boston or whatever. On one hand, he would say, goddamn racial word for Irish people, and then as soon as the black guy came on and punched someone, he would go, goddamn racial word for black people. You know?
No,
with that in mind, just keep this in mind. Back in the 40s, we lived next to a housing project. Like, they built it in the Depression and all that. And when the Italians moved out, then the other minorities started to move in back then, right? So it became very black. But you could never go, like, we never walked in each other's neighborhood. Well, not that I wasn't there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So one day, this black guy just walked through the neighborhood because he was going to the store, and it was the wrong time of day, and the wrong guys were out, and they tried to kill him.
Yeah.
And my grandfather stood between them, and he literally used racial words. And he says, leave this guy alone. He's just walking down the street. He'll go back to his own place. He may be a bleep, 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 but they call to kill him for that. You know?
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying he was a saint or that, but it's hard. This whole racial thing, it drives me a little crazy. Like we're all people. And again, I'm a nihilist saying this. So, you know, but in the Bible, I believe it's like we're all people first. For anything else, we're people, right?
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, and they look at it's this tribal. I'm not opposed to tribalism. Like, we should have, like you said, we should have pride in what our ancestors did, the good stuff, you know. But you got to draw a line somewhere in your behaviors towards other people, you know. And if maybe you know, I'm a little uncomfortable, I admit, around certain certain, say, Middle Eastern cultures, you know, which in my view tend to not treat women as well. But that's, you know, so I tend not to shy away, but I still respect them. I'm not calling for, like, my neighborhood becoming very, very Middle Eastern right now. I'm not saying we should run them out of the neighborhood or anything, you know. And you just got to sort of live at a certain point of view.
Well, yeah, I just we have to account for human nature, and you know, racism is like the unpardonable sin for whatever reason. We can massacre babies by the millions, but God forbid you use a racial.
Oh my God.
God forbid you use a racial slur. Of course, I don't like racism, obviously, but I think everybody has things where you go, okay, I'm going to overlook this, and this is a deal breaker for me. And it seems to me, people on the left, racism, if it's coming from the right wing, is a deal breaker. But when it's coming from the left wing, they're quick to overlook it. And that was the point of the video.
Yeah. That's the politics of it. I agree. I agree. When you did that video, you reaffirmed why I love your 3 channels so much. You know, because we may disagree about stuff, but you always present your information in a way that conveys information and your opinion without making people who don't disagree with you feel like crap. You know?
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's a lost skill nowadays, man. It impresses me for your generation that you're capable of doing that. You know, I'm sure. So, but on this, you mentioned this too, and this is another thing. Again, people listening, I'm a nihilist saying this. Okay, so I'm not a Christian. I don't follow, even though I was raised Catholic and all. Okay, this whole abortion thing. The people, like the left especially, has adopted this whole abortion on demand and whatever, you know. And I work in healthcare, so I see it all, women's healthcare, so I see this a lot. But the same, like, the net effect of abortion, if you look at the statistics, has the same goal as all that, I said, typed this in chat before, as all those eugenicists and people who wanted to eliminate the poor and minorities. And we all said they were bad people turn of the century. But then we go doing abortions, and look at the statistics on abortions. It's mostly poor people and minority people.
Well, I quoted what's her name, Margaret Sanger, the arch matriarch of Planned Parenthood, and she was an avowed, obvious racist eugenist. Obviously.
Oh, yeah. And
it's without
I
question.
Even ran away from her. You know, like she wanted the movie to go one place, and it went even further than she wanted it to go. You know.
Yeah. All right, my brother. I appreciate you. Thanks for the call.
And thanks for the channels. I want to say this as a thank you to you guys. I've kind of been trapped at home for medical reasons for the past 3 years. Although I work from home, I don't get out much. And you there's like 3 things I have the highlight of my day, and your channels are one of them. You know. So keep up the work, man.
Oh, God bless you, man. I appreciate you.
And I appreciate you guys too. Thank you.
Cool.
Yep.
Bye. BM fan, wrong. The left will utterly crucify anyone who is not pure. Look at the left and Linda Sarsour right now. She won't denounce Farrakhan, so there's a lot of backlash on the Women's March. You just proved my point, BM fan. Because they didn't denounce Hillary, and she's racist as hell. Hillary said that John Hyde, Mr. Ku Klux Klan, John Hyde was awesome. Hillary said that Margaret Sanger, who said that white people were a favored race, and that she wanted to extirpate human weeds, which was obviously talking about black people, was one of her heroes. She called black people like me super predators. She didn't get crucified. You had a bunch of 500,000 white women marching last year or 2017 for Hillary. So that she didn't get crucified, BM fan. What is interesting, though, is Sarsour is getting crucified for not going after Farrakhan, who happens to be a black racist. So you just proved my point. They left Hillary alone, who's a white racist, but they're going after Sarsour for not denouncing a black racist. So that doesn't help your case. That just shows how even more racist the left is in comparison to the right. Not helpful to your case. Call me up if you disagree. BM fan, they didn't denounce her as an avowed racist. It doesn't matter whether or not they liked her. Doesn't matter. BM fan, I know what Farrakhan said about the Jews. He qualified his statement, by the way. Did you see the entire video? And secondly, you're missing the point. They did not crucify Hillary Clinton for being a racist. She's been a racist for about 3 or 4 generations in the public eye, BM fan. Be consistent. This is the thing that gets me about leftists. Y'all just can't be consistent at all. She's racist as hell. And the DNC put her up as the opponent for Trump because they thought she was going to win. And all those white ladies with the pussy hats were voting for her, and she was a clear, avowed racist. Those are the facts, BM fan. The leftists do not crucify anybody that's racist. Stop it. Good Lord. No, Maddie Nutrition, it's not a right spin on it. Margaret Sanger was a eugenist. That's clear. She was. I can give you the quote again if you need to see it. She was an avowed eugenist. Stop denying reality. Call in, BM fan. Call in. Explain to me how Hillary Clinton's not a racist, and explain to me how she was utterly crucified for not being pure. In Britain, we have left-wing students who will not criticize Hamas or Islamic State no matter what the killing, but will attack USA and Israel all the time, including with prejudgmental nonsense. Call in, De Herrera. You're one of the resident Trump apologists, so call in and we'll talk about it. No, I'm not. Honestly, I'm in a good mood. There's like 3 issues that get me. Right, Ranger. She had hot sauce in her purse, so she wasn't racist. There's 3 issues that I have no patience for. And it's this self-righteous posturing of leftists that all people on the Republican side are racist. And they are a pure... I mean, BM Fan actually used the word pure. He used the word pure. BM Fan. Hillary Clinton was a racist. Nobody denounced her. Why is there all this pressure on Linda Sarsour to denounce Farrakhan, and there's no pressure on anyone to denounce Hillary Clinton? This is just hypocrisy from the left. And now you want to start, quabbling about definitions and all that. Call me up and then set me straight. But I don't like this leftist idea, or Democrat, I don't care what you want to call it, that they are clean and pure and inclusive and love everybody, and those damn Republicans are so ignorant and they're all racist. Stop it. Call me. If Bernie came out with some racist shit, he'd be destroyed. BM fan. Bernie was fighting in the civil rights struggle. The fact of the matter is, the left propped up Hillary Rodham Clinton as their candidate, and she's racist as hell. So your idea that leftists or Democrats or whoever are not racist and it's only coming from one side is bullshit. You're in denial. Call me. Preach it, Yan. Preach it. But anyway, I wanted to talk about, yes, hate from Asheville. It really, really does. And you know what? You know what's funny to me, hate from Asheville? I don't really think that a lot of leftists even got a lot of the subliminal attacks that Get Out was doing. Because they lack so much self-awareness. Jonathan Melton, that's why I voted for Stein. Yeah, exactly. Do you think I like liberalism? No, BM fan, I don't think you like liberalism, but what I'm tiring of is this idea that racism only exists in one party. Because now, what am I supposed to do? Well, shit, if the Republicans are the parties of racist, then I need to vote for Democrats because they love me. Get Out was a great movie, I agree. And you'll notice that Get Out didn't win the Academy Award. It was Shape of Water. You want to tell me that Shape of Water was a better movie than Get Out? Did you happen to notice how the black male character was in Shape of Water versus the black male characters in Get Out? Do the math, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I know I'm deaf fan, and I just wish one of these Democrats would just admit, yeah, we've got a very racist past, and we still have a very racist present, and so how about we just vote on the issues and stop trying to color everybody as Republican or Democrat as being racist. Leah of the Village, call me up. I agree, Jonathan. Racism is a human issue across all types. That's true. The facade that the left is woke beyond its own racism is just that, a facade. Again, I agree. Thank you. That's what I was going for. And that's why BM fan's not going to call me. Because you know you're wrong, brother. I love you, but you know you're wrong. Leah. Leah, are you going to call and defend Donald Gotti?
Oh, you know damn right.
Donald J. That's Donald John Gotti Trump.
Oh my God, really?
Okay, so did you see my video about my concerns about the big homie?
I did. I watched it this morning. Thought
Okay.
It was great.
Okay, so so tell me what your thoughts on it are. How is this possibly defensible? How can you possibly defend Trump in this one?
Well, I don't think he's doing anything other than what the American people expect from him. He's speaking his mind. When it comes to Cohen and the whole he's weak because he's making up lies to try and get a reduced sentence and blah, 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 blah. Now everybody's making a big deal, or Cohen's making a big deal out of some what was more or less sounded like a real estate deal from what it sounds like. I don't know the gory details of it, so I don't want to speculate, but from what Trump said, he has said basically it was just a real estate deal that never happened, so it's basically a nothing burger, and why he's coming out with that and using that to try and get himself a reduced sentence is a little ridiculous.
Well, sis, what happened was he said that they discontinued those discussions as of January when Trump officially began to run. And then it turns out that this was going on into June, which is about half a year later. So he lied under oath to Congress. Right?
Cohen did?
Yeah.
Or Trump lied to Congress?
Well, I mean, Cohen is basically saying the whole thing was a lie because they were saying, hey, we stopped after January. But they were going into June, according to Cohen.
Gotcha.
So,
okay, well, I mean, if that's the case, it still doesn't really change anything, in my opinion.
yeah, but are you not concerned at all that our president is using Twitter and the White House lawn to go bully somebody? Like, doesn't sound to you to be gangsterish?
I don't see it as him bullying anybody. I think he's just being Trump and telling it like it is. That's what he always does. Why would you expect anything else from him?
Well, that's my point. Is shouldn't we expect something higher from the president of the United States? You're the leader of the free world.
Does the president of the United States not have the same freedom of speech that we all have?
No, of course not.
No.
Leah.
So the president of the United States, freedom of speech is curtailed when they're the president.
Leah, obviously, technically not. But Leah, think about this, right? I'm a dad, right?
Yes.
Let's say that the house was on fire, right?
Right.
And my kids say, Dad, are we going to be okay? Do I have the freedom to say, no, son, we're all going to die in this flame?
You absolutely do have the freedom to say that, but that would be really freaking cruel.
That'd be terrible, right? Like, what I'm supposed to do is maintain a certain calm. I'm supposed to say, no, we've practiced this a million times. We're going to get out fine, right?
You're pretty much talking about expectations.
Right. Like, there's a certain standard. So, on the one hand, as an American citizen, of course he has freedom of speech. But on the other hand, it's like, you're the president. Millions of people are watching what you say. And what you say affects the stock market. It affects jihadists in other countries. It affects crazy psychotic people like Kim Jong-un. So because of that, your language has to be very deliberate when you speak publicly. Don't you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't think it would be an issue I don't think it's unreasonable to try and get the president to hold himself to a little bit higher standard. But at the same time, like I said, that's kind of his.
So the bar is just so low for this guy that what else could we expect?
His impolitically correct speaking, I think, is one of the things that got him elected.
Well, I agree, and I guess that's my concern. Here's De Herrera. Your presupposition is that we all uphold your values based on what you think is okay language and action. Do you honestly? So did you hear what I was saying about in the hood? You'd call somebody a snitch or you call somebody a rat or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that essentially what he was doing? He was saying the guy was a snitch and a rat.
I didn't take it that way. I mean, I watched that full interview on the White House lawn, and after watching it, I didn't think, God, he was calling him a snitch. That wasn't my take on it at all, probably because I didn't grow up in that kind of environment.
Well, yeah, some of this has to do with my background because I recognize some of the pattern. Because you notice he didn't say, like, he's a nasty liar. He said he was weak.
Yeah, and I think when he says he's weak, he's saying he's not strong enough, man enough, whatever, to, take on his prison time for the things that he's done. He is weak and trying to get himself as little as possible because, exactly, he's weak. I mean...
But what I'm saying to you is, isn't it curious choice of language. Instead of saying, this guy is a complete liar, I categorically deny what he's saying, he says he's weak, which to me sounds like he folded under pressure.
Well, in the same interview, he says he's weak, and he also says he's lying. He said he lied. So he kind of says both.
All right. So you're not concerned. So what you're saying is you're not concerned at all because, hey, it's Trump and this is what we voted for.
It doesn't concern me to have him talk about that. No, what concerns me more is the implication that he was trying to influence like a judge.
Well, yeah, because well, don't you think he was also? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't see his tweet that you were referencing in that you said like was kind of his way of trying to influence the judge. That I think it was he said that Cohen should get his service full sentence or whatever. So in that, if that were the case, that he was actually trying to influence somebody like that, I would have a problem with that, absolutely.
Yeah, he did say that in the tweet. He said he should get a full sentence, full and complete sentence. He did say that.
So yeah, that kind of thing, I think he should stay out of and let play out as it's going to play out.
And here's the other thing. Isn't that also kind of a low-key intimidation tactic to anybody else that would flip on him? Like, hey, if you flip on me in this special investigation, I'm going to go out and recommend that you serve the fullest time possible.
Well, I don't know if I'd qualify it as intimidation, but I can see how you could view it that way. Sure.
Well, I mean, if you were in his inner circle, I mean, Cohen was in his inner circle, and then he went from that to the president calling for him to get the maximum sentence. So,
right. So what I'm saying is, I don't view it as an intimidating statement to me. But if I was one of the inner circle and I saw that, then yeah, I think, sure, I would probably think twice.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, influencing a judge. On the other hand,
I wouldn't perceive it that way.
Say again?
That's all.
People keep saying that, Twitter doesn't dictate policy. Didn't Trump initiate the trans ban from Twitter? Isn't that how he announced it?
Oh, God, that was a while ago. Did he initiate it? Well, I don't think you can initiate it per se, technically, from Twitter. I think he announced it on there, I believe.
Well, yeah, you can't initiate anything, but I'm pretty sure he announced the trans ban. We all found that out by Twitter.
I believe so. But the reason he uses Twitter, and
I mean, that's bananas.
The reason that he goes straight to Twitter is so he can reach the people and circumvent the mainstream media.
Well,
because they have a tendency to skew things a little bit. So
I hear you, but so we do need to take what he says on Twitter seriously then, because he announced something as monumental as the trans ban from freaking Twitter.
Yeah.
So you can't have it both ways.
Covfefe, isn't it? I mean,
say that again.
I said Twitter's also the source of covfefe, isn't it?
Yes, that's also true.
So I mean, out of the hundreds of tweets that he sent since president, I don't know if you can grant every single one of them the same amount of weight. I think some are more playful, some are more serious, some are
You just don't know.
And some are joking. So it's whatever he feels like saying that day. So there are some where it's obviously serious, and yeah, if you're going to be talking about a serious subject, then yeah, you should be serious in tone. But
okay, so my point is, here's my point. People are trying. My only point in bringing that up was, people are trying to dismiss it and say, oh, it was just Twitter. But to your point, you don't know what this president, what's serious and what isn't. And what I'm saying is, if I was part of his inner circle, let's say that some collusion happened with Russia. And you already know my position, Lee. I think the idea that the Russians stole the election is bullshit, right?
Oh, it's an absolute.
But let's say that we took part in that to some degree, right? And then you see Trump from Twitter calling for Cohen's head and to get the max sentence. Wouldn't that make you go, shit, I better stay with this story?
I could see how that would, yeah.
Okay. And so do you think that our president should be doing that? Is that good or bad? Is that right or wrong?
I think a lot of it goes to his intent. If his intent is to intimidate people, I think that's wrong.
Well, what do you think his intent is, knowing what we know about Mr. Trump?
Just expressing his thoughts, I don't have a problem with that. So I don't know what his intent is, because in my thought process, I don't think he did anything wrong when it comes to Russian collusion. I mean, being in talks with Russia about building a fucking building is a far cry from, hey, Russia, come on, let's win this election. Let's do what we can. Let's collude.
Well, it's like I said, he said point blank in his debate. He looked into the camera and asked the Russians to release more emails.
Yeah, it was a rally.
So he doesn't care. I didn't even know why he'd even lie about that. He should have just come out and said, yeah, of course I did. Anyway.
When did he lie about that?
Leah, what I'm trying to get you to do is admit that he did the wrong thing here.
What you're trying to get me to do is admit that he did the wrong thing by saying that Cohen should serve his full sentence?
Yes, because of what it does to the judge and what it does to the people in his inner circle who have yet to testify.
Sure, I'll agree with you on that.
So that was...
What it does to the judge. In that sense, yes, I'll agree with you on that.
Okay, so say it with me, Leah. Trump was wrong there.
Trump was wrong there, Vin.
Yes! It's a historical moment! Yes! She's finally done it. Okay. All right.
I would be, I mean, you could have asked me fucking years ago, does everything Trump do exactly right? And I will tell you, no. I don't think everything he does is 100% done the right way all the time, but overall, I think he has good intentions.
Yeah.
Overall.
Well, I don't think he wants to destroy the country.
No, not at all.
You know, I don't think he wants to wreck the country at all. So,
not
I mean,
at all.
He's got to have good intentions. I got to believe that.
Yeah, well, all you have to do is go back and watch the interviews with him during the 80s where, you know, he said, I would never think of running for president, but if the country got to a point where it was doing so terrible, absolutely I would, because I think I could do some good for it.
Yeah. All right.
And he said consistently over the years, so I think finally he just got sick of seeing the direction we were going and wanted to try and make it better, so.
Got it. All right. Much love to you, Leah.
Much love to you. Thank you.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Historical day, ladies and gentlemen. Leah of the Village officially denounces Trump. She didn't denounce him. She just said one little tweet he did was wrong. All right. Can you explain Romans 9 and why would anyone want to worship a God like that? Well, it before the twins were born and had done anything good or bad, it was written the older shall serve the younger. And for me, Romans 9 says that no matter how terrible I am and no matter how bad I am, that God chose me and that it's not based on my performance, it's just based on his mercy. I think if you start from the idea that human beings are good people and that God chose to make some people bad and some people good, then of course the God of Romans 9 looks like a monster. But if you start from the perspective that everybody's terrible and that out of the mass of terrible human beings that he chose a number that no man could count to be adopted into his family against their natural inclinations, then I would say that that's the best news in the world and the only God that I would want to worship. which happens to be the God that I do worship. Sarah Jade in the house. DeGrasse Tyson pisses me off. He was a collegiate wrestler and a beast and is a super nerd. Too many gifts for one man. I didn't know that DeGrasse Tyson was a wrestler. Vin, you think I'm terrible? Absolutely, Ben. All of us are terrible. Free Neil. Alec, do you want to call me up about Neil deGrasse Tyson? I think most people are good. What kind of religion preaches that most people are bad? Well, Christianity says that everybody's born bad. So, there's that. Imagine if Trump issued his statements over Snapchat. Yeah. I get it. No, I'm eating my dinner. You're eating chicken tendies? If anybody wants to call about DeGrasse Tyson, go for it. I was going to shoot a video about DeGrasse Tyson, but I don't really want to take part in a lot of that stuff. So I'm holding off on it. Kellen Dross, it's why I have a major issue with Christianity in the Bible. Yeah, I don't know, Kellen Dross. That to me is like one of the easiest things to realize, that everybody's born bad. Wasn't it Hillary that recently said she set up a Snapchat account? Maybe that was after Hillary told the people at the radio station, the black people at the radio station, that she carries hot sauce in her bag. Unrelated. Yes, Jen, you're terrible too. We're all terrible. Original sin for the win. Unrelated question. Where is the Anima review at? The Anima review is going to be published. We've Bricktown, don't say anything. I'm not going to even say when the Anima review is going to be published. Did you ever hear Hillary use black voice? No. I just think it's problematic to say we all suck. Kellen Dross, if you ran into somebody that says, I've never done anything wrong in my life, you would instinctively not believe them. You wouldn't believe a person if they said, I've never done anything wrong in my life. So if you wouldn't believe them, that means that you believe in original sin. Who am I talking to?
It's BM Fan.
Hey, BM Fan! How are you, sir?
Not much. What's up?
This is BM Fan, who was telling me that the left was willing to crucify Linda Sarsour for not denouncing Louis Farrakhan.
Yep. What is it? One of the other founders just like called her and a bunch of others to step down, I think.
Who is worse, Louis Farrakhan or Margaret Sanger?
I'll admit, I don't know a lot about Sanger, though I have seen greater context, which I currently do not have access to right now. I could Google up, other alternative analyses of, the quotes that you could give or whatnot, but
birth control.
Farrakhan's a worse individual, though.
Birth control is not contraception indiscriminately and thoughtlessly practiced. It means the release and cultivation of the better racial elements in our society and the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extirpation of defective stock, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization.
Yeah, sure.
Is that a racist thing to say?
It's definitely a eugenics thing to say, that's for sure.
So who do you think she was referring to when she was saying the better racial stock?
Yeah, probably white people.
Okay. Who would be the defective stock?
Probably non-whites.
Okay. So who's worse?
I would still say Farrakhan.
Farrakhan. How many people has Farrakhan killed?
How many people has Sanger helped?
How many people has Sanger helped to kill? 55 million.
But how many people have been helped from abortions and such?
How many people has Farrakhan helped? Do you know what Farrakhan has done for the black community? You don't, do you?
Not entirely, no.
You don't know a damn thing about Farrakhan. Believe me, Farrakhan has done much more for the black community than your friend Margaret Sanger has. Do you know that in 2014, more black babies in New York City were aborted than born?
I'm going to be totally honest with you, Ben. I don't care about the abortion issue.
Now, hold on for a second. Go meta for a second. If you have a group of people who are killing more children than are being born, that's a good way to exterminate them. Isn't that true?
Sure. I don't care about the abortion issue.
Forget about abortion, because I know you don't care. I know that. But I want you to think bigger than your apathy to other human beings. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. If you have a group of people that are killing more children that are being born, that's a good way to exterminate that group of people. Isn't that true?
Arguably, sure.
Just mathematically speaking?
Mathematically, sure, but that's not putting things into actual context.
Okay. All right. I'm starting to figure you out, BM fan. Context to you is just the way that you wiggle out of hard truths. The facts are Margaret Sanger's she's an avowed eugenist racist.
Okay.
She purposely instituted her program specifically to destroy people that she felt were sub her racial strata.
Okay.
Hillary Clinton said that was her hero.
Okay.
And a lot of folks, even on your side, believe that Margaret Sanger is a hero. So does everybody who supports Margaret Sanger, are they all racist?
No.
You support Margaret Sanger's efforts, don't you?
I support women not throwing themselves down staircases.
My brother.
Or shoving
my brother
up their vaginas.
My
That's
brother.
what I support.
My brother. Do you support Margaret Sanger's efforts, yes or no?
I'm telling you what I support, and I support not having women do those.
So you're not going to answer my question.
That's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay. All right. So then you won't denounce her either. So if Linda Sarsour doesn't denounce Farrakhan, she can skirt that issue just like you just skirted the Sanger question.
I mean, I think it's pretty easy. I'll denounce those things that she said.
So,
but, I'm not going to denounce her as like a complete person. Like, if Sarsour actually came out and said Farrakhan, like, the stuff he talks about with Jews and whatnot is really, really fucked up, and I don't agree with it. But she doesn't even do that.
What did Mr. Farrakhan say about Jews?
Do you want me to go Google it?
No. BM fan.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Mr. Farrakhan actually said? Did you hear the whole speech?
He compared them to termites here.
Did you hear the whole speech, BM fan?
Probably at some point.
You didn't hear. All right. Anyway, isn't it curious to you that the only denouncement that you guys are putting pressure on is for a black guy who's racist against Jewish people, but there's no pressure to denounce Margaret Sanger, who's a white lady who's a racist against black people?
Isn't Margaret Sanger dead?
So? You're still invoking her in 2018. If somebody invoked Hitler, that wouldn't change anything, would it?
I mean, people also criticize like the early suffragettes because they weren't intersectional.
Yeah, but they're not criticizing Margaret Sanger for her obviously racist sentiment. Isn't that strange to you?
I mean, it's possible they have. I personally, I'll admit I haven't really seen it, but again, I haven't really looked into this stuff. I just, I don't really care about abortion.
Isn't that odd? I didn't say anything about abortion here. What I talked about was her explicit statement that she was part of a master race and that there is another race of people that needed to be extirpated from our culture. Isn't that odd to you? Nobody on your team has avowed her as a racist? I mean, aren't you the same people that are saying we need to change Christopher Columbus Day and we shouldn't celebrate Christopher Columbus? Does that seem consistent logically to you? That you're having a meltdown over Christopher Columbus, but you're okay with Margaret Sanger?
Well, hang on. There's a PolitiFact thing here that says that she actually didn't say these things.
My brother, I just quoted it to you. Because unlike you, I actually have research. I don't Google things on the fly. April 8th, 1923, New York Times article. I have an actual source. So once again, isn't it strange that the left, you leftists, you go crazy over Christopher Columbus, but you're okay with Margaret Sanger?
Let's see here.
Are you going to answer my question, BM fan?
I'm reading. What'd you say?
BM fan is too busy trying to Google his justification for Margaret Sanger to listen to what I have to say.
I guess generally, like, again, this isn't something that I look into. I just don't care.
I agree with you. You just said that you don't care about a person who said she wanted to eliminate me from the culture of America. And this proves that there's racists all over the place. You just made my point for me, BM fan.
I mean, like, I'm looking at this PolitiFact and it's disagreeing with you.
I don't give a damn about... I'm telling you, New York Times, April 8th, 1923. Read to me your source. Read to me PolitiFact. Tell me what it says.
Hang on, let's see here. So they say, yeah, she was a eugenicist.
Which groups of people was she wanting to exterminate? Unbelievable.
Sanger was far ahead of her times in terms of opposing racial segregation. Worked closely with black leaders to open birth control clinics in Harlem and elsewhere. Even officers who treat Sanger critically don't believe she held negative views about African Americans. Edwin Black wrote a comprehensive history of the eugenics movement.
BM fan, stop.
Sanger was no racist, nor was she anti-Semitic.
BM fan.
Yeah.
Do they have any quotes from Miss Sanger? The answer is no. She worked closely with black people for birth control facilities.
Those who point a finger at Sanger as a racist often cite a particular statement claiming she harbored ill will toward black people. In December 10th, 1939 letter she wrote, "We don't want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs." But PolitiFact debunked those who read the statement as something sinister. Sanger's correspondence shows the sentence advocates for black doctors and ministers to play leadership roles in the Negro Project to avoid misunderstandings. Lynchings and Jim Crow laws gave blacks a good reason to be wary of attempts to limit the number of children they bore. In Harlem, she hired a black doctor and social workers to quell those fears.
BM fan, that does not address the article that I read to you and sourced to you from the New York Times, April 8th, 1923. She was a eugenist, and she had a racial strata in her mindset and her worldview. And by the way...
In 1966, Planned Parenthood gave its Margaret Sanger Award to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The civil rights leader accepted it and sent his wife Coretta to accept it.
BM fan.
She wrote for the occasion stated there is a striking kinship between our movement and Margaret Sanger's early efforts.
BM fan, does that negate what I just read to you?
I know, but I mean, there's also a lot of stuff here that negates what you read as well.
No, it does not, because do you know that Louis Farrakhan has Jews on the latest record that he put out? Did you know that? I guess that means that Louis Farrakhan has never said anything anti-Semitic then, BM fan. So then, good news, Linda Sarsour does not need to denounce him then, by your logic. Isn't that what you just said? Or is it people can be racist as hell and still work with people who they believe are inferior to them? Isn't that true?
Sure.
Okay, then. So you didn't do anything to address what I said, and you never do. And it's obvious to me that you're ignorant about a lot of these facts because most leftists are ignorant about the racist bastards on their side. The fact of the matter is, she was an avowed racist and a eugenist. She believed in exterminating inferior races, which, by the way, you know that our Supreme Court allowed for the sterilization of people. You know that.
Yeah, we sterilized a lot of freaking people. Holy shit, yeah.
This was very common, right? And this is actually what Hitler used to justify, to tell us that we couldn't judge him. Okay?
Also, we sterilized a lot of Latinos too.
So she was a woman of her time. I'm not mad at her for that. She was a woman of her time. We were playing around with this shit. I get it. She doesn't believe people are created in the image of God. She doesn't care. You've come on and expressed that you don't care about what happens to kids. So you're a person of your time. She's a person of hers. I'm not mad at either one of you. My only issue is your refusal to face the reality that you're, whatever you want to call it, Democrat, liberal, leftist, whatever, you guys are extremely selective with who you call as racist and who needs to denounce who. That's what I'm saying. And the lack of the ability to see the reality of the situation is staggering to me. There's racists all over the place. And
I'll agree with that.
Okay, well, you just said that if they're not pure, you said it in the chat. If they're not pure, the left will crucify them. That's what you said.
Yes.
Okay, well, anybody who supports Margaret Sanger is not pure. And there's a whole bunch of y'all on the left that support Margaret Sanger and will not denounce her as an avowed racist.
I mean, I don't... Let me think here. Okay, sure.
Okay, well, there's the hypocrisy. And like I said, I don't believe that racism is the unpardonable sin. Now, Margaret Sanger, a little bit different category because she worked to exterminate millions of people. But I don't think the fact that she was a racist or a eugenist, that's what people were doing in the 20s. Everybody was playing around with that idea. The people in power anyway. And 100 years from now, somebody's going to look back at you and the shit that you say, and they're gonna pretend that you're a monster because you said you didn't care about killing kids. But you know what? You're a person of your time. And she's a person of her time. It is what it is. But don't come up here and act like the left is... do you really believe...
True or false? Do you think that if it came out that Bernie actually was a racist or something, that he wouldn't be crucified?
Of course he would be, particularly because he's Bernie, because he's got an actual record of putting blood on the ground for the civil rights movement. He was actually arrested.
That's very true. Yeah.
He was actually arrested for it, right?
Yep.
Okay, so it would be particularly hurtful and disappointing if he came out as an actual racist, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Bernie's not a good example because I'm not a leftist. I'm more conservative than I'm probably a leftist because I'm a socialist when it comes to medicine and economics. I don't know.
You're not a socialist. You're a social democrat. This is the other thing that I keep trying to explain to you.
Okay, I'm a social. You're probably you got circles around me on that one. I'm a social democrat, right?
There you go.
But I'm conservative in my morality as far as we shouldn't chop little babies up into small pieces, and so. But I would have crossed the aisle and voted for Bernie. If Bernie was up in 2016, I would have voted for him. And so, Bernie is a cross. He's kind of an anomaly that I fear we won't ever see again. He's kind of a guy that can appeal to both groups. So of course he would be crucified because the thing is, BM fan, Bernie is held to a much higher standard than pretty much any let me know if you agree with this. Bernie is held to a much higher standard than pretty much any politician out right now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, even look at, remember how, people were criticizing Bernie because some BLM activists kind of, took over one of his protests, or took over one of his rallies?
Yes, and he let it happen.
Exactly what that kind of stuff is.
Right. He's held to a different, for example, when that guy went up and shot up all those people on the baseball field or whatever, and people were saying, how comes nobody was blaming Bernie for that? And I'm like,
Bernie never called for it.
Well, maybe it's because Bernie, he was always trying to tone down the rhetoric. He was always trying to say, let's talk about the issues. He was always...
he was always just trying to say, hey, let's talk about this policy. Let's talk about Medicare. Let's talk about these things.
Yeah, and he was the one during the whole... he was debating Hillary, and he said, first and foremost, I'm going to address the email thing. We're not talking about this in this debate. We're going to talk about the issues. We're done. Like, that's the type of dude Bernie is.
Yep.
God forbid that he dies. So, yes, he would get crucified, BM fan, but he's a terrible example. Because he's singular in the fact that he's the only decent politician we have left on the planet, in my opinion. Maybe you.
Well, I mean, earlier there was that guy from the UK or whatever. But the closest thing that they have to Bernie is Corbyn.
Yeah, I heard you talking about him. I don't really know much about Corbyn. Maybe you could shoot a video about him or point me to something that leads me to him. But
well, something to keep in mind is that a lot of the people who worked on Bernie's campaign currently are working on Corbyn.
Okay.
So there's a lot of overlap between Bernie and Corbyn.
Okay. Somebody's saying
the other thing is the Labour Party is actually much further left than like Bernie and stuff.
I'm going to read something to you. I'm going to answer, and then you answer it. Scott in the chat says, Bernie let Hillary screw him out of the starting gig. That's not somebody I want as a president. Well, Scott, I mean, what was he supposed to do? Initiate a civil war when he saw Trump as a real threat to our progress, and he thought that Trump was a much worse eventuality than Hillary would be, and he didn't want to weaken Hillary. In order to win that fight, should he have weakened the entire Democratic Party just so he could beat Hillary? What's your take on that, BM fan?
That honestly almost sounds like something like Jimmy Dore would say or whatever. Like, Jimmy Dore is fucking batshit insane.
Yeah, I don't know what Matty Nutrition is doing, but somebody's saying that he's trying to trap people. Yeah, okay, good. So we agree. All I'm saying is that, you know, the left has their own racist in the thing, and I think leftist policies.
I mean, I'll agree with that. And there's actually some claims, though. Personally, I have not seen anything that seems relevant to me, at least. Some people are claiming that there's a lot of anti-Semitism in the Labor Party right now, but personally, I haven't really seen any of it. And like there's a video of Corbyn, you know, talking about the Battle of Cable Street, and like, you know, commemorating the Battle of Cable Street. Which, are you familiar with the Battle of Cable Street?
No.
The Battle of Cable Street was when fascists marched through London's East End back in like 1926, I think.
Okay.
As this is Oswald Mosley's Union of Fascists, and they were, you know, black shirts, and they marched through this Jewish section, and obviously the police protected them, but the entire town, basically, which is mostly Jewish people, fought back, and they attacked the fascists in the open streets. And that was kind of the beginning of like the British anti-fascist movement.
Whoa. Okay. And so how does that create how does that make him an anti-Semite?
Well, no, it doesn't make him, because, like I said, the whole point of Cable Street was to defend Jewish people.
Yeah, that's not anti-Semitic.
Yeah, but there are people claiming that Corbyn has anti-Semitic elements, but I'm like, how? Like, he did this thing with Cable Street. Like, Cable Street was a big deal, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so do you agree with my take on Bernie as far as that, you know, in his mind he was doing the right thing to concede to Hillary because he felt like Trump was a much worse?
I agree with that. And like, as I said, there are people like Jimmy Dore or whatever that see, like, people like, you know, what Bernie did or what AOC, like, what all these kind of more popular kind of individuals are kind of like, you know, how can I say this? Toning themselves down almost or whatever. He's looking at that as like this massive betrayal and how like we need to leave the Democratic Party and form our own party, and like it's like that's no like that's not how America works. We're not Parliament. This isn't, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, personally, I much prefer Parliament. Parliaments are freaking cool.
Yeah, instead of the madness that we have going on.
No, honestly, there is legit madness in Parliament. Like, if you ever, like, watch videos of, like, British Parliament, oh, man, there's some good stuff. like American politics, like at least in terms of within Congress and within the House and stuff, is boring as piss. But you watch British Parliament. Oh, there's some fun stuff.
Well, they're like, I say, son.
Oh yeah. there's, like, if you're curious, look up Dodgy Dave on YouTube. That's some fun stuff right
What
there.
is it?
One of the guys referred to, I think, Dave Cameron as Dodgy Dave, and and the guy who's what is it? The guy who's kind of like doing orders and whatnot or whatever. He's like, I order you to strike that word you used from your speech. And he's like, what word? He's like, the word that you know that word. And of course they say it because he called him Dodgy Dave, and he refused to do it, so he gets ejected. It's just, this is some crazy stuff.
Oh my gosh, I gotta look. I gotta look.
Back in the old days too, there's a big mace in the middle, and at one point some guy actually grabbed the mace. He was so pissed off.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff. And another thing that I really love about Parliament is it has something called Prime Minister's Questions.
Okay.
Where they actually have, like, the Prime Minister, answer questions. Like, people from his side and from the opposing side, they all ask questions. And he has to answer them.
No shit.
Like, imagine if that with the president.
No teleprompter.
That would never fucking happen. That would never happen.
No prescript. No teleprompter.
That's some crazy stuff.
I want to see that.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Leah, we need to have Trump. We need to have Trump do ask the president anything for an hour.
That would be so good.
It'd be hilarious.
If we could do a Prime Minister's Questions, like a President's Questions, that would be so great.
It would be either great or eminently traumatizing as we realize who we have as our leader, truly.
Yeah.
God almighty. All right. Much love to you, my guy. You know we wrestle all the time, but you know I got love for you, BM fan. You know I love you, buddy.
There's one other thing I want to ask you.
Go for it.
Are you familiar with a guy named Hassan Piker?
I am. He's the snivelly guy from TYT. He's Jenk's nephew or something like that.
Yeah. He streams on Twitch.
Okay.
And he pretty regularly will like talk with people and have debates and stuff. If you contacted him, he'd probably be totally fine with chatting or something. I don't know if you saw the Middle America clip, but when Charlie Kirk was having his meltdown and going after Cenk. Yeah, that was a debate with Hassan.
That was with Hassan. That did not go the way I thought, because Hassan was kind of like the young whatever, but Charlie Kirk completely lost his mind.
Oh, Kirk is crazy. And if you notice, all Kirk could do was just gish gallop talking points. He couldn't actually have a conversation.
Well, yeah, it's actually you touched on it. It was weird watching it because Hassan was trying to talk to.
Hassan's trying to actually have a conversation and kind of remove things from like political means and whatnot.
Right. He was trying to actually talk to Kirk, but it seemed like Kirk was kind of like a android almost, saying,
Yeah, he was an NPC.
It was weird. I'm going to admit it was weird. And then the only time he humanized himself was when he had a meltdown and went after Cenk. So it was a very bizarre.
How much you made?
Yeah, it was it was a very bizarre situation. But yeah, if I find homeboy, I'd like to have a discussion with him. That'd be good, because I think they just shot a video about Medicare for All. Which, by the way, if somebody disagrees with Medicare for All, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this idea that there are people that believe healthcare is not a human right.
Did you ever watch those debates between Bernie and Cruz about Medicare?
Yeah.
Like that. There you go. That's just how dumb people are.
It was a straight. It definitely is. Leah, I don't know. You've already called, so you're probably done talking to me for the rest of the day, but. Somebody could call me up and explain to me why you don't believe healthcare is a human right. That would be great, because I really want to get an understanding of it. I didn't really know much about how our healthcare system worked. I think, a BM fan, let me know what you think about that. I think a lot of people assume that we have a better healthcare system than we actually do.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't realize just how bad our healthcare actually is, or how low ranking we actually are. And
Yeah.
now, like, other people, particularly, like, people like Charlie Kirk or whatever, would probably say, like, well, yeah, it's not that good, but we also have the best research and development, and so that's, like, the price we pay. And it's like, is that really it?
What? Research and development of what?
We're the ones who basically create all the new drugs.
Yeah, but we're dying. We're like 12th place
That's the
in
thing, yes.
mortality among developed nations or something.
Also notice MDF fans saying, that's crony capitalism. No, that's just capitalism.
No, I don't believe in this distinction between crony capitalism and capitalism. I
It's
feel
just
like
capitalism.
that's a convenient definition
Exactly.
away. It's like what you do with context. It's just capitalism. I'm sorry. They're capitalizing on the fact that they have more capital than the rest of us. How can you say that that's crony capitalism? It's just capitalism. It's not crony socialism. It's not crony Marxism. It's crony capitalism, which means it's just capitalism, bruh. I don't understand that. Maybe somebody can explain to me. Yeah, so somebody call me up and tell me the difference between crony capitalism and capitalism. And then tell me the difference and tell me why healthcare is not a human right.
So there are two other things I want to also bring up. So I mentioned Hassan. Have you ever heard of a guy named Destiny?
Who?
A guy named Destiny.
No, never heard of him.
He's another Twitch streamer, but he's decently popular. But he also does a lot of debates and whatnot. You could probably contact him, and like I'm sure you guys would agree on a lot of things, but you'd also probably disagree on a lot of things. But he regularly does a lot of debates and whatnot. And he does a lot of very, very anti-Trump stuff. But you'd probably he'd probably be willing to chat with you as well.
Okay, Alec is saying that America does have the best medical R&D for now. What's R&D?
Research and development.
Yeah, but if we're like 12th place in mortality, who cares?
Oh God, did you see our mortality rate actually went down?
Yeah, like
we're at like 78 years old now. That's the average age of death in America right now compared to other countries.
Alec, you're a scientist, so call me up. Why do I care that our R&D is the best when we're like in 12th place among developed? I thought we were America first.
Oh, on that topic, do you remember in that Hassan and Charlie Kirk debate, he talks about how like Cuba has a really low mortality rate?
Yeah.
Cuba has a higher mortality rate than us.
God almighty.
They're higher than us by like 2 years, I think.
I think part of me feels like, okay, like I'm being a bit ethnocentric here and saying, what the hell? See, this is the thing that gets me, BM fan, is there's all this rah-rah about America first, right?
Yeah.
And then we're
getting...
getting...
America first was originally a old, like, 1930s American fascist slogan.
Of course. But then we're getting our ass kicked by Cuba and infant mortality. And nobody cares. It's like, hello, America first. Hey,
yeah.
This is a serious question. I'm not being Vinny here, but does the abortion total factor into mortality, or is that something else?
I would assume it doesn't.
Okay.
But I would just assume that. I don't know for a fact, but I can't imagine they would include that.
Destiny and Hassan Piker debates are always shit shows. Do one. Capitalism.
If you are curious, like I'll actually like link you some Destiny debates. He recently did like a 4-hour debate with some guy who's a fan of Jordan Peterson, all about like the that Vice interview, and that thing was a thing.
Which
and, me as a person who doesn't like Jordan Peterson, I found the whole thing to just be like really, really painful. You as a Jordan Peterson fan, I'd be really curious to actually see your response to that.
Which Vice interview?
The one where he kind of talks about how women wear makeup and whatnot.
Oh, with the Asian
dude.
If
men and women can ever get along together in the work environment.
With the Asian dude.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually think that that's an interesting discussion to have.
But if you are curious, I'll email it after we end this call, and you can if you get a chance. It's a long freaking debate. It's like almost 4 hours long, I think. But
yeah.
Okay. Last thing before I leave you. Decibel Omega, a chore for the lost.
Somebody was writing that in the thing, Chore for the Lost.
Like if you want to really have your brain turned into mush, it is absolute insanity. And like Sori's gonna hate it. You're probably gonna be like, "What the hell did I just listen to?" But you're gonna go crazy for the lyrics. I guarantee it.
Okay. Stay on for 2 more seconds. Why is capitalism bad? Work hard, make a living. Who cares if people are richer than you? Well, if that was all that capitalism was, I don't think that anybody would have a problem with it, Rain. The problem, though, is that you have people who have obtained capital in ways that are not just them working hard. They then circulate that money among a certain group within their own, community or culture or whatnot. And then they channel that money into the political sphere to get laws passed to make sure not only that they maintain their wealth, but that there are other elements in our society that that make it virtually impossible to get to where they are. Which is what happens when you have a completely unregulated capitalistic system. And so then our capitalist apologist friends say, well, no, that's crony capitalism. That's not capitalism.
Like that's the other thing too. Like I don't understand how people don't like regulated capitalism. You need to have regulated capitalism or you're gonna have freaking dystopia and shithole.
Well, I mean, we're
like
pretty...
You're gonna have like what's like one of those futuristics? You're gonna have a freaking dystopian cyberpunk thing, and like dystopian cyberpunk's really cool when you're watching it in a movie. I don't think you want to live in it.
Yeah, I think this idea that capitalism is only, hey, everybody works hard, and if you work your ass off, you'll be okay, and if you don't, you won't. I think it's a little bit more complex than that, especially when you take healthcare into the equation.
And not even like Adam Smith agreed with that shit. Even Adam Smith realized that, you needed some degree of regulation.
Yeah. I think complete laissez-faire is probably... I don't think anybody wants to live in that world other than Jeff Bezos.
Oh, no, there are legit. Like, have you heard of anarcho-capitalists?
They want complete laissez-faire.
They want anarcho-capitalism. They don't want governments. They just want pure capitalism.
Totally the La Shaitana regime.
It's insanity. It's absolute insanity.
Yeah, Zonia would be living high on the hog. The rest of us would be finished.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So I've got Chore for the Lost in my. I'm looking at it right now, so we'll see.
All
right.
I'm telling you, that's a trip. And like I said, if you wanted to hear complex music, that is complex.
Okay. Much love to you, my guy.
Alrighty, good chatting.
Have a good one.
You too.
See, that's my guy, BN Fan. Bricktown, make sure you clip, I don't know where we are. We're the 113-minute mark. Make sure you clip that conversation, especially the first half when we were going at it about Sanger and Farrakhan. Fireworks. Have you ever listened to Terrence McKenna? No lie, Dennis. I've been going to sleep to Terrence McKenna for the last 3 days. So yes, I have. He's an eminently interesting fellow. Who's this? Who am I speaking to? Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hi again.
Who's this?
Rich.
Talk to me, Rich. What's up, brother?
Who's this? Rich. I want to get myself off speaker.
Okay.
I hear my echo. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm a ardent Trump supporter.
You are.
And yes, I am.
Okay.
And healthcare for all. There's too much deceit in the system
What do you mean by that?
Taking advantage of what we have already. There's scams and shit like that, because you don't get the bill. Someone else pays. Your insurance pays. You can go to a hospital and pay cash. You can't. If you tell them, I want to pay cash, they won't let you. Because they have it all on the system. You're still there?
Yeah, I'm listening to what you're saying.
I'm sorry, I speak with I have MS, so my speech goes sometimes.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
So I
witnessed it myself.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that there's corruption, but don't you think that, how would you rate our current healthcare system 1 to 10 overall?
6.
What about a person who's not insured? How would you rate their healthcare?
Coming for someone who wasn't insured, I turned out okay. I wasn't insured. I got MS. My Obamacare didn't kick in, so I labeled someone no insurance. So I still get bills, but they eventually gave up.
Yeah, but hasn't that essentially destroyed your credit? Not to get too personal.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if
MS was terrible?
Okay, so you got this disease that you had no control over.
Yes.
And now you're financially ruined because of it.
Yes.
So wouldn't it be better if we had a system that didn't financially ruin people for getting diseases that they have no control over?
Yes.
Okay, so
the corruption is so prevalent. People take advantage, Finn. People take advantage. The human condition is we take advantage. We have enough to live, and we want more. We want more. We're owed more. We're owed more. You owe me. You owe me. You don't owe me shit, Finn. You provide me with entertainment I watch for hours. I have no choice. So I watch. I scan all the YouTubers. Watch a lot of Ben Shapiro. I like him. He was a Democrat and turned Republican. Interesting guy.
yeah, but when you talk about, so from my perspective, I do believe that we owe one another, that we look out for each other. I believe that we owe each other that. So for example, if, Sori's having a kid soon, and if for some strange reason, you saw her and she fell in the street.
Inshallah, Zalma. Inshallah.
Right? And so let's say that she fell down. You would do whatever you possibly could to help her up, right?
No way. No way. I wish her falling.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, you would help her any way that you could if she was in trouble, right? Yeah. You wouldn't say, I don't owe her that.
No, I wouldn't.
So when I think about healthcare on a bigger scale with our country, I kind of let me say it this way, brother, and let me know what you think about this statement. I would rather have an economic system where I don't ruin somebody completely financially because they had a disease that they couldn't control. I would rather pay up and get taken advantage of by, X amount of people who are going to abuse the system versus not having a safety net for those people and not getting taken advantage of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's a utopia. We can't do it. I'm sorry. The human condition is such shit that we're stuck with what we got.
Well, I mean, we've got examples of other countries that are doing it, right?
Which?
Huh?
Which?
Well, there's lots of countries in Europe that have a single payer system that are doing okay.
They have wait lines for 3 months to see a doctor.
Do you think that that's
happened 3 months?
do you think
if
that
I don't get an infusion every 6 months, I get worse, and I keep getting worse. They stopped it, thank God.
Well, yeah, but do you think it's as simple as that? Like, do you think that if you had MS in the UK, that you would just die because you're waiting for 3 months?
No, the UK has stem cell, and I'm against that. I don't like that. Using an aborted baby, killing a baby to save me? No.
Well, I mean, I agree with you on that. What I would say is, somebody's talking. I'm pretty sure Sweden. I'm pretty sure Sweden is doing pretty okay with their health care.
They're having revolution over there.
In Sweden?
Yeah, man. They can't commit to a parliament. No one won. First time ever.
Yes. Well, what I'm talking about is actual health care. I don't think the revolution in Sweden was. I didn't know there was an actual revolution in Sweden. That's the first I'm hearing about it. What I'm saying is the health care in Sweden, they seem to be doing okay. And like I said, I'm sure there's people abusing the system, but I would much rather pay up to take care of people who are not and take the hit for the people who are than keep it all to myself and then,
Sweden's different. Much smaller draft than United States. And one race. They're not mixed race. Diversity is our strength. Isn't that what they say?
Right.
But we're one race.
Right.
So we have more problems than Sweden.
We do. I just think, for me, I'm never going to accept that we can treat people like that in our country. With all the capital that we have floating around in our country, for people to be completely ruined because of a disease that they can't control I will never accept that that's okay. I think we have to do better for each other.
Well, I wish for the day that the human condition of greed doesn't exist anymore.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Well, is this the first time you've called in?
Yeah.
Did you subscribe to the Middle America channel?
Yeah, I do. I caught it just now.
Did you see we've got the Middle America hoodie. Have you seen those yet?
No.
Would you like one?
I didn't get one anyway.
Huh?
Would I like one?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Do me a favor and email me your address, vidinstory@gmail.com.
I'm going on my AOL now.
Email me your address and I will ship you a Middle America hoodie that will get to you before Christmas, my guy.
Thank you.
The only thing I ask is that you take a picture in it.
Well, I will.
Okay.
Vin Story, one word?
vidinstory@gmail.com. All I need is your address, and I need you to tell me what your size is.
I'm a big boy.
All right.
Got bigger.
So give me your address and your size, and we'll get it to you before Christmas.
I'm sending it now.
All right. Much love to you, my guy.
Good call.
All right. We got 20 minutes left, guys. What's up, Courtney?
Hey, Vin. Nice to speak to you, family.
Hold on. Let me get you on speaker, sis. Hold on. Okay, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. What's up? Talk to me.
I think that healthcare should definitely be a human right. As someone who has personally experienced a mountain of medical bills from surviving a sexual assault and just the years of just the domino effects of what that has done to me health-wise, you know, like it's crippling. And it can take you from, you know, being okay to being to where you're barely making it every month. And I just got out from under it, you know? And the fact that people are so apathetic to the suffering. When you deal with healthcare, you're dealing with human suffering. And the fact that people are so apathetic to other people's human suffering, that guess what? The people that are saying that no, healthcare isn't a human right, I mean, imagine if you got cancer, or if, God forbid, you got something even worse than that, and you're going to waste away and die. Do you want your family to be stuck with those possibly up to millions of dollars worth of medical bills? No, you don't. There's a way to where if we all chip in just a little bit and just give of ourselves for our fellow human beings, there is a way to where we can all chip in and at least make it more affordable and put in controls for these pharmaceutical companies and medical companies to where they can't charge you legitimately $200 for a bag of saline at the ER that only costs like $5 to produce. I mean, the whole thing is just greediness, selfishness, and lack of empathy for your fellow man. Because we've all gotten to a point where we all just look out for number one, and we don't look out for our neighbor, for our brother, our sister, whoever the person that needs this may be. It's just, I just see it and it just breaks my heart because I know, because I've been there.
Yeah,
it just stinks that people just think about number one and they don't put themselves in someone else's shoes and say, okay, if I got cancer right now and it cost me because it literally does cost millions of dollars to treat cancer, what would happen to my family if unfortunately I didn't make it? They would be saddled with this. So is it still worth your stance to say it's not a human right? I would think not.
Yeah, and when you combine rampant capitalism with healthcare, I forgot what it was. It was a couple years ago. There was this, I think it was the EpiPen guy, where they were charging like 7,000% profit or something egregious. Like, it was insane. And it just,
and that's to save your life if you accidentally get exposed to an allergen. And like in that case, like if it's life-saving medicine like that, I think there should be price control laws in place.
Well, yeah. And it's like, well, if you want completely pure capitalism, I guess the guy has a point. But if you want to maintain some semblance of your humanity, you're basically saying these people, look, your money or your life. Like when we were in the hood, that's what the stick-up kids used to do. They used to say your money or your life. And to me, it's like, where do we draw the line, Pete? It's to your point, my brother that just called earlier, he caught MS, he had MS and that's it. He's ruined financially. And then I'm sorry that happened to you, and then now you're taking a hit financially on top of the trauma that you had to face, right? So it's mind-blowing to me.
It is. And I just, every every day I see more and more, and this is just a general commentary on society from my point of view. I see lack of compassion, lack of empathy. People are so disengaged from one another, and they can't communicate with one another, that it's isolated us to a point where now you only look at your family unit and what's going to benefit your family unit. You don't look at what's going to benefit your neighborhood, your community, your state, your country, your world. Like, we're no longer thinking on that level. We're just thinking on a micro level of what is going to benefit just my immediate surroundings. And it's because of the things that I listed before. And it kind of seeps over and bleeds on over into this debate because, you know, all of those things are applicable in this sense, you know, where you're talking about other countries like the UK, where, you know, if somebody goes to the hospital, they're not paying like $5,000 just to go to the ER.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
it's like, I'm not saying that that's the perfect system. I'm saying that maybe there's a way that we can fuse both and maybe make things better for a lot more people. I'm not necessarily advocating for total socialism or communism or Marxism,
right.
But maybe there's ways to take the best of everything and come up with a plan that would serve everyone and serve the greater good.
Well, sis, we need a new ism, because I agree that, you know, communism, we saw what that did last century, right? But I also see that capitalism is killing people. Like pure capitalism is killing people. Because if it's pure capitalism, then how can you tell the guy the EpiPen shouldn't cost $1 trillion, you know? So
yeah,
we gotta
capitalism. I'm sorry, capitalism is at its core ruthless.
Right.
It's careless. It doesn't have any emotion. It just looks at what's gonna end up in a financial gain. Right.
Because you're capitalizing on some lack somewhere else in order to advance yourself.
Exactly.
And, you know, if you're talking about hard work and that, then I love capitalism. If you're talking about the common man being able to start a small business, I love capitalism. But when it comes to people getting debilitating diseases and things like that, and then being completely destroyed, I'm not a fan of that. I don't accept that for us as a country. I never will.
Me neither. And I was gonna let you go, and I just wanted to say that I accidentally stumbled on you guys' channel. I was just searching for Manson reaction videos, and I stumbled on your video for Antichrist Superstar, and I just fell in love with you guys. You guys remind me of me and my own husband, and just the way that you're so open to it, and you don't judge, and you don't just automatically start throwing the holy water at the monitor because you see Manson burning a Bible. You know, like you're so open, and you guys are so friendly, and you know, I've already made some friends within the Patreon community and on Facebook, and they have been nothing but awesome to me, and I'm so glad that I've accidentally stumbled upon this and found you guys.
Sori's going to be bummed that she missed you. Call in the next time Sori's around, because she's going to want to hear from you for sure.
I definitely will. It's been nice talking to you.
Much love to you, sis.
Much love.
Bye.
Bye.
There it is again. Somebody in a terrible situation they can't control, and then we're supposed to be okay with that because they're getting wrecked financially, and we're supposed to be all right because it's capitalism. Look, I know that, you know, I'm good friends with some of y'all in here. You know, M Death Fan is like the big proto-capitalist of the group, and I only believe good things about him, and everybody that you know, gets triggered every time we hear the word socialism, and I get it, but I think all of us can agree that those are not eventualities that we should accept. I don't think that anybody here wants to put capital over the well-being of the people in our country. So anyway. I know you have a heart, M. Death fan. I only believe good of you. But anyway, it's been a really long time since I've done a fireside, so I'm glad that you guys are able to hang out with me. Yeah, Ben, pretty much. Well, M. Death fan, I want you to be able to explain, but I'm on a very specific clock because I promised the kids that I would be playing football with them and such. Thank you to everybody that called. We're gonna do. This was way too long for a fireside. I was getting all restless and stuff. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I was like, oh crap, haven't done a fireside in a while. So I'm gonna try to be a lot. I've got a ton of work happening. Just barely staved off a village uprising. Yeah, I know, Zonia. You pushed it over the edge with that thing. Yeah, Jeremiah, it's all good. So definitely going to be doing firesides a lot quicker here in turnaround time. Thank you guys for the calls, for the last two callers sharing some pretty personal stuff. I really, really appreciate it. And interestingly enough, on opposite sides of the discussion. But anyway, thank you guys all. Thank you to BM Fan for our little jousting session. That was great. Next fireside date will be within 48 hours. Ron, I haven't reacted to the wall yet because we owe the Tool fans enema. So I'm actually really, really itching to do the wall because of all people said it was better than Dark Side of the Moon, which is very hard for me to conceptualize, but people have said that. But there you are. Morning show, please. Yes, Yen, I have not forgotten about the morning show. Matthew, Grunge Week is still on, actually. There's, surprise, surprise, another grunge song tomorrow. Sorry, just joined the chat. Maybe she can continue to chat with you guys. Sorry, I'm out. So I was just saying goodbye to everybody. And she's from the other room saying hello to everybody. And of course, once Sorry jumps on, that's it. Yeah, Crazy John, thanks. Nightwish, everybody. I love everybody. Much love to you guys. And Ron, thank you for emailing me, my brother. I'm going to get on that as soon as I possibly can. Yes, Ian, you can discuss healthcare next time, inshallah. All right, guys. Love your neighbor. Take care of each other. We are obligated to take care of each other. I don't care what you believe or what you say you believe or you don't believe. You know it's true. Love your neighbor. Take care of each other. I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.